In the hush of eternal morning, when the first rays of light still clung to every blade of Eden's untouched grass, I stood at the border, unseen, uncelebrated, yet always watching. I was not of the cherubim, nor did I carry the trumpet of proclamation. I bore no name known to man among the hosts of the Most High. I was simply a sentinel, assigned to the threshold, where eternity breathed into the dust of flesh. From my post, I watched the shaping of Adam by the very breath of El Elyon, his lungs filled with holy air. His eyes blinked, confused and bright, as though awakening from some deep and ancient silence. His ribs would soon yield Eve, the bone of his bones, radiant, fierce, curious. Eve's eyes lingered too long on the center, not out of rebellion, not at first, but hunger, not for fruit, but for meaning. Adam too would follow, not because he was tricked, but because he was silent, a scent foreign to the air, the faintest note of decay. It clung to the serpent's scales as he slithered through ferns kissed by dew. But I was bound, not by weakness, but by law. Love, you see, cannot be forced. The serpent curled, his voice like honeyed oil. Did God really say? Not a lie, not yet, just a suggestion of doubt. Free will is Eden's crown, and its curse, and silence, in the face of evil, is its own kind of agreement. Her hand shook, not from fear, but from longing, and Adam. He was there, silent, watching her fall before he stepped willingly into the chasm beside her. They marveled at creation, at every beast and blossom, and I, nameless among the winged, marveled at them. For in that moment, I saw all that would come. Cain's raised hand, the drowned world, Babel's pride, nails on a tree, a tomb, blood spilled by those who had once walked with lions and called stars by name. And Eden, oh Eden, not a garden, but a realm, pulsing with divine joy, where even the wind carried worship. You may scroll, you may comment 777 below if your soul aches for something beyond the veil. Let this story find you. Let your spirit remember. Eve's eyes were rimmed with salt. Adam's shoulders, once broad with confidence, now bent under a weight no beast had placed. They were beautiful in their innocence, those firstborn of dust. Not flawless, but whole, they laughed like running water. From their ashes, a seed would grow, but Eden had to seal. But I also saw the shadows long before they did. I, the silent watcher, would now become the flaming guard. My blade ignited not from wrath, but from mercy, that they may not eat of the tree of life and be damned forever. I who once watched their laughter, stood between them and the realm of divine intimacy. It started not with the serpent, but with the gaze. The tree stood there, ancient, humming with a knowledge not meant to be held in flesh, the knowledge of good and evil, not merely facts, but the splitting of what once was whole. One night, while Eden slept beneath the lullaby of moonlight and lion purrs, I felt the tremble of something cold. What words could I offer to a heart torn from home? I wanted to cry out, to unsheathe fire and strike him before he spoke. So I watched as Eve stood beneath the boughs, head tilted in wonder and ache. Those words, like a splinter in eternity. A flicker, faint as it was, of the one who would come, the seed, she reached. The fruit glistened like rubies in sunlight, like forbidden starlight condensed into flesh. When her teeth broke the skin of the fruit, I felt the sky shift. The sound was not a bite, but a rupture. Something in me wept, not from anger, but grief. And yet, even as the breach began, a whisper echoed from the throne. They are not lost. This was the paradox, the beginning of ruin, and yet also the planting of redemption. My orders came not with thunder, but with sorrow. I approached them after their exile. Naked in shame, draped in skins, the first death had already occurred to clothe them, and I Eden behind me, the world ahead of them. They turned once, only once, to look back. I said nothing. Still, in that silence, I saw something in Eve's eyes, not rebellion, not despair, but promise. The story did not end there. The air outside the garden was heavier. not merely in chill, but in sorrow. The earth was still young, but the cry of exile had already soaked into its soil. I was no longer only a witness to the glory of Eden. Now I bore witness to the ache of humanity and the long road they would walk. I watched Adam and Eve stumble into the unknown, their hands clasped yet trembling, their breath white with the first touch of cold. Every rising sun became a reminder of what had been surrendered. I remained at the threshold, flaming blade in hand, a sentinel not only of paradise lost, but of what could one day be regained. Time, as you know it, had not yet learned the rhythm of hours and calendars. Yet from that moment forward, each day bore weight. Cain, burdened by comparison, bore gifts touched by bitterness. And still, the voice reached for him. Sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it. Eve, once the mother of all that danced freely in paradise, now groaned in labor, body twisted in pain. I heard her cries from the wind. The birth of Cain, then Abel, was not merely the beginning of humanity's future, but the unfolding of a tragedy. Abel brought offerings with a heart of breathless gratitude. His lamb bled with innocence, but Cain did not listen. I felt the earth groan again, a deeper groan than before, when brother's blood spilled into her mouth. Abel's lifeblood cried out, not in silence, but in song, a lamentation sung by the dust itself. For even in wrath, love remembers. They built cities on blood, and named their children after pride. Even the Nephilim, strange giants born of mingled rebellions, walked the land, echoing the fall in their very existence. I lowered my eyes. Noah's hammer rang out like a warning bell to the world, each strike another chance to turn back. What had begun with the breaking of fruit now bloomed into fratricide. And yet, even then, mercy lingered. The cries of drowning filled the sky, and I, though armored in light, could barely hold my sword upright beneath their sorrow. A few walked with him, like Enoch, whose steps grew so close to heaven that one day he simply vanished into its embrace. Man fell again. The Almighty, whose justice is like blazing fire, still marked Cain with protection. Banished, yes. Cursed, yes, but not forgotten. I stood unmoving at the gate, but my heart moved with every step they took. Centuries passed like sighs. Each generation carried the ache like marrow, the memory of the garden like smoke in their dreams. Their descendants spread. Some remembered the voice. Others built altars of stone, trying to climb back to what was lost. But many to he forgot. They raised monuments to themselves. They bound their souls to idols of their own making. Their heavens ached. And then came the flood. I saw the ark being built, slow, deliberate, laughed at, mocked. But they didn't. Solomon built the temple, and yet bowed to idols with the same hands. And in my silence, I began to hear it, the slow rising of a new song. Israel called him Lord, and then chased foreign gods, as a bride who forgets her vows. Rain in Eden was unknown, yet here it fell in torrents, not merely to cleanse the earth, but to mourn it. Yet mercy floated on water. The ark became a cradle for covenant, a second beginning, a seed preserved and still. For the heart, once severed from Eden, cannot heal through judgment alone. It needs redemption, and redemption requires time, blood, and a promise that does not break, even when we do. From Shem to Abram, from barren deserts to burning altars, the line unfolded. Even they, the prophets and kings, bore the curse's shadow. David danced before the ark, yes, but he also fell to lust and took blood with it. Over and over, the voice whispered through the mouths of prophets, "Return to me, come back," and still they wandered. And still he waited. I remained at the edge, not just of Eden, but of every crossroad where man chose between life and death. It was faint, like wind through dry bones, but it carried a name not yet spoken aloud by man, but known deeply by heaven. And I knew the seed would come, but not as a sword, not as thunder. He would come as flesh, The silence before his coming was not absence, it was preparation. Heaven held its breath, and even I, the one who had long stood at the broken threshold of Eden, felt a stirring deep within the marrow of my existence. For millennia I had watched. I had seen kings crowned and crushed, prophets mocked and murdered. The Word, eternal and uncreated, would become flesh. The very voice that called light into being, the one who spoke and sons were born, that voice would have lungs, vocal cords, a heartbeat. I had witnessed the rise and fall of nations, the building of temples and their desecration. I had heard the cries of those who longed for the presence of God, yet could not cross the flaming sword. They sang of deliverance, but it was a song without fulfillment. Mary, a girl whose prayers, though whispered, pierced the veil. Her spirit shimmered with humility. She did not seek greatness. She simply wanted God, and so God came to her. Until now, he would not ride clouds of fire. He would come as an infant. A whisper moved through heaven, no, not a whisper, a decree cloaked in mystery. And with trembling lips and steady faith, she replied, "Let it be unto me according to your word." Do you understand what that means? Where once a woman had reached for forbidden fruit, now a woman embraced holy surrender. Laid in a feeding trough, surrounded by animals and stardust, wrapped in cloth, yet bearing the very imprint of the Almighty. Where once a man had remained silent in the face of temptation, now a girl had spoken in the face of mystery. He laughed as children do. He fell and scraped his knees. He learned to hold a hammer, to shape wood. He, through whom all matter existed, now touched it with calloused hands. Even when he healed, when he spoke in parables that turned the world inside out, they doubted. I wept when I heard, not with sorrow, with awe, women who washed his feet with tears. And demons, yes, the fallen they knew. Oh, they knew. I saw them tremble when he passed. In the wilderness, the serpent came again, not through Eve, but directly, offering kingdoms, testing identity, twisting scripture, and this time, the man stood firm. The Word, the Logos, would not come draped in thunder. I saw her before she knew. Gabriel descended, and the heavens bent low to watch. You will conceive and bear a son, he said. Not even through teachings that shook the bones of religion. Those words split the sky more profoundly than any war cry. The infinite was now within her. From my post beyond Eden, I felt it, the pulse of redemption moving through time. And when the child came, oh, when he came, he did not descend with legions, but through the cries of childbirth. Shepherds came, and their rough hands trembled. Magi arrived, and their treasures were inadequate. Every step he took brought humanity closer to the tree that would undo the first. Even I, the silent watcher, felt unworthy to lift my gaze, but I watched. Always I watched. He grew not in palaces, but in obscurity, and still, they did not know. Even when he walked among them, they looked and did not see. But not all. There were hearts that burned. Fishermen who dropped their nets, tax collectors who gave away their wealth. For in him was the authority they had once dared defy. He did what Adam could not, he resisted. It is written, he said, and the gates of Eden trembled, for the seed had begun to sprout. Yet redemption would not come through miracles alone. No, the gate could not be opened until the curse was broken. And the curse ... required death. I shuddered at the thought, not because he would fail, but because I knew he would not turn away. He would walk the road that none other could. He would become the bridge between what was lost and what must be restored. And so I kept watch not only at the gate of Eden now, but at the crossroad of time. But it would not be a tree of temptation. It would be a tree of sacrifice, and the fruit would be blood. I have seen the flaming sword. I have held it. I have guarded the way to Eden for what men would call eternity. But never had I seen anything like the tree he chose. This tree was brutal cut, carved, hoisted by Roman hands into a tool of agony, a cross. It was not lush or radiant like the one in Eden. It did not sing with celestial resonance, nor shimmer with forbidden fruit. He had touched trees before shaping them as a carpenter, yet now he would be nailed to one. The one who had fashioned the cedars of Lebanon would now be fastened to rough beams beneath a storm-lashed sky. The great exchange, prophesied in shadows, now stood naked in light. I watched from the edge of that hill, for even angels must sometimes stand back and bear witness in silence. They mocked him, this man who had walked on water and calmed storms, as though his silence meant defeat. He was beaten, crowned with thorns, the very symbol of the cursed ground Adam once tilled. But I knew what they could not see. Each lash, each drop of blood, was opening a door. He stumbled beneath the weight of the cross, and Simon carried it unaware that he bore the instrument not only of death, but of deliverance. Nails pierced flesh that had once shaped galaxies. Iron bit into the hands that had lifted children and opened blind eyes, as though all of creation was being reborn through his pain. He did not scream, he groaned, not in weakness, but in travail. Darkness covered the earth. I felt something break in the heavens. Not clouds, not eclipse, a holy darkness. Creation itself could not bear the sight. The sun hid, the earth quaked, tombs yawned, and he cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me? He entered into their cry, into their silence. I knew the line. It was psalm, prophecy, but it was more. It was the echo of every human soul that had ever felt abandoned. This was not a martyr's death. It was a cosmic transaction, the spotless for the stained, the eternal for the temporal. And as he exhaled his final breath, I saw it, the veil tore. The blood of the Lamb who had spoken existence into being, not a tear made by men, but from the top down. From heaven to earth, the barrier was breaking. Not just the curtain in the temple, but the chasm between God and man. And though I was not given the word to speak, if I could, I would have shouted, the gate is opening. Would not stay sealed, blood soaked the soil, holy blood. And death, oh death, it hesitated, for though it wrapped him in silence, it could not bind him in permanence. They laid him in a tomb carved from stone, but I had seen stones before, stones that covered wells, stones stacked in altars, stones where Jacob dreamed of ladders to heaven, and this stone he had promised. And every promise he spoke was seed. Something was stirring, even in the stillness of the grave. Something ancient and powerful was awakening. I could feel it in the marrow of creation. Heaven was holding its breath again, but not in dread this time, in expectation. Before light returned to the horizon, before birds greeted the sun and dew kissed the graves, the silence of that garden tomb was louder than thunder. I stood again near a gate, this time not Eden's flaming border, but the sealed mouth of death itself. And I waited, not with dread, with certainty. It had never held the source of life in its belly. It had swallowed him, thinking him mortal. You see, for all the power death had wielded over man since Eden's exile, for all the tears, tombs, and endings, it had never known one like this. But eternity cannot be digested. Hell watched him walk its halls. Chains snapped, gates melted like wax, the captives stirred. He had descended into shadow, not as victim, but as victor cloaked in stillness. He did not battle with steel, he conquered with scars. Then, as the third dawn stirred, a tremor shook the stone, and I moved. I had waited ages to be given such an assignment. With fire once guarding Eden, now I came with fire to reveal Eden's return. The stone had been sealed by empire, signed by Pilate, watched by soldiers. But no empire can keep the author from turning his own page. I stood beside the empty tomb, sword ablaze in joy. My silence, held since Adam's exile, now broke into a cry through creation. I did not roll the stone to let him out. I rolled it to let the world see he was not there. They had come to anoint a corpse, but instead found echoes of eternity. The guards fell like wheat in a storm, pale as moonlight. He is not here, he's risen. I watched as the women arrived, trembling, breathless, perfume still clutched in their hands. The holes in his hands were now the keys to paradise. The blood once spilled had not been wasted. It had written a covenant stronger than stone, more eternal than law. She called him Rabboni, teacher. The first word humanity spoke to the resurrected word. Their eyes widened, not in fear, but in awakening. The clouds carried him like chariots, the sky tore in applause, and the heavens received him with thunderous praise. The same God who had walked with man in the cool of Eden's day was walking again, this time from grave to glory. He appeared, not first to kings or priests, but to Mary of Magdala, a woman once tormented, now entrusted, and he called her by name. Every angel knew, when the Creator calls a name, that name is reborn. He walked among them 4 days, flesh and spirit fused, wounds visible, not hidden. He ate with them, spoke with them, breathed peace upon them. And one day he ascended, not in secrecy, but in sight. But before he left, he whispered a promise. I go to prepare a place for you. It echoed like Eden's answer, and I wept again, not for sorrow, but for a hope fulfilled. For finally, at long last, the exile was ending. The gate I once guarded in silence now burned not with wrath, but with welcome, fields white with harvest, seeds of glory rising where once only ashes fell. But the story, oh, it is not over, not yet. For he planted something in the hearts of those who followed, a fire, a spirit, a new Eden, growing not from the soil, but from within. And I, the watcher, the witness, now look upon a different kind of garden, not of vines and rivers, but of souls reborn. Do you feel it too? That stirring deep in your spirit. It is not nostalgia, it is home calling. The gate stands open now, not by might, not by merit, but by mercy. And even now, the voice that shaped worlds is calling you by name. Return, come home. He ascended, yes, but he did not leave us empty. From my post between heaven and earth, I watched them wait. A small, trembling band huddled in an upper room, hearts still echoing with his final words. No swords, no chariots, no legions of angels. Just silence, ... and expectancy. It was the breath of Eden returning. It was the same spirit that hovered over the waters before time, now rushing like a holy storm into broken lungs. And then the wind. Oh, child of dust, you must understand it was not the kind of wind that shakes leaves or whispers through reeds. Tongues of fire descended, not the fire of judgment, but of communion. They spoke in languages they had never learned. Fishermen became preachers, prostitutes became prophets, tax collectors became apostles. Humanity, once cursed, now bore heaven within them. And I knew Eden had found its way into men again. If he could not keep them from the tree of life, he would try to twist it into something lesser. Religion without intimacy, power without purity, form without fire. It would no longer be a garden of trees and rivers, but a temple of flesh, a dwelling of spirit. Saul, once a terror, shattered by light, became Paul, a thunderstorm of truth, planting churches like seeds of resurrection across the Roman world. And still, the serpent whispered. He did not retreat, no, he adapted. For they carried something Rome could not tax, torture, or terminate, the very presence of the Almighty. But I had seen the flame. It burned now in the hearts of martyrs. Stephen, whose face shone like an angel as stones broke his bones. They were hunted, flogged, crucified, burned, yet they sang, and the world shook. Even Caesar, wrapped in gold and cruelty, could not crush them. I hovered near prison walls that trembled with worship. I flew over battlefields where prayers were louder than swords, and I wept over cities that rejected the very light they claimed to seek. Time passed, still betrayal, war, and silence. Empires fell, scripture spread, the word, once nailed to a tree, now carved into hearts across continents and centuries. But something else grew too, a weariness. You see, even the strongest hearts long for home. They preach, they heal, they prophesy, but they ache. For though the gate now stands open, the full restoration is not yet complete. There is still death, still pain. But even in the silence, I can hear it, the echo of a promise. Behold, I am making all things new. Do you not feel the ache? Not just of loss, but of anticipation. That sense deep within that you were made for more. It is not your imagination. It is the cry of Eden in your bones. It is the Spirit groaning with you, for you, through you. And I, who have watched from the beginning, tell you this, you are not alone in the waiting. He's nearer than your breath. And the day is coming when skies will split, trumpets will cry, and the Lamb once slain will return not as sacrifice, but as sovereign. And the garden ... the garden will bloom again. But this time, it will be forever. You must understand, redemption does not erase the war. It only changes the outcome. Since the exile from Eden to gardens have warred within humanity, one born of self, one born of surrender. And now, with the gate unbarred and the Spirit unleashed, the battle is no longer around them, it is within them. I have seen the thorns. The serpent, though defanged, still hisses in the shadows of the soul, luring with the same ancient question, did God really say? I see children who carry the fragrance of heaven, yet stumble under the weight of generational wounds. I see temples built with praise, only to be ransacked by apathy. They still grow in the hearts of kings and peasants alike, seeds of pride, of lust, of fear. I see believers who burn with holy fire one moment and doubt the next. And yet, I see something else, too. I see a woman, worn with sorrow, lifting cracked hands in silent worship at dawn. I see a father forgiving a wound that should have defined him. I see the addict, trembling, whispering Jesus through clenched teeth. I see the tears of saints no one knows, hidden lives, burning altars, and I tell you, these are not small things. These are eternal flames, for in this war, victory is not thunderous. It is intimate, it is not always visible, but always real. The serpent tried to build kingdoms of stone, but the Son is raising up a kingdom of hearts, hearts that bleed, that heal, that believe. The gate I once guarded now opens into these hearts. Do you grasp this? The garden you lost is not only ahead, it is within you. And so the Spirit groans, not only to restore the cosmos, but to restore you. Lovers of Christ whose names will never be written in history books, but are etched in flame across eternity. When you choose truth over ease, Eden brightens. When you kneel and whisper His name in the dark, you are walking the paths Adam abandoned, that Eden was a myth and glory is out of reach. The trees of Eden swayed to the rhythm of His presence. Now your breath carries that same rhythm. When you love your enemy, Eden stirs. I have watched warriors fight in silence. They suffer well, they hope against all odds. They live as though the veil is already torn, because it is. Still, the serpent lies. He tells them they are alone, that they are weak, but I know better. I was there when the tree bore the lamb. I was there when the stone rolled back. I stand now on the edge of a world still broken, and yet burning with light. And I want to cry out across the generations, do not give up. This war, this long war between gardens, is already won. You only need to stand, to remember, to believe, for the one who walked among Lilith and bled upon thorns will return. And when he does, the serpent will be silenced, the sword will be sheathed, and Eden will be reborn in glory beyond your wildest ache. I hear them. They do not sound like your brass nor your horns of war. These are not blasts of iron or fury. No, these trumpets are woven from eternity, their notes fashioned from longing fulfilled. They do not just pierce the air, they pierce time. They are not loud yet, not for your ears. But to us, those who watch, who wait, their echo draws nearer by the moment. The King is rising. I see it in the shift of the heavens, the way the veil between what is and what will be grows thin in the prayers of the pure-hearted, in the songs sung in jail cells, in the trembling of widows who still lift hands to bless the name, in the children who see visions, In the dying who see light before it comes, creation knows it too. No, he will come as the lion, robed in fire, crowned with many crowns. The mountains shiver, the oceans stir. Even the stars seem to realign, as if anticipating something too glorious to contain. For the King, the same Word who once cried in a manger and bled on a hill, will not return as the silent lamb. He will not ride into Jerusalem on a donkey this time. He will ride the clouds. He will ride the thunder. He will ride on every prayer ever whispered in faith, every tear ever offered in trust, every hallelujah spoken in the dark. And he will not come alone. We, the watchers, the messengers, the hosts of heaven, we will come with him. The gate that once turned man away will swing wide. I will be there. The sword that once guarded Eden will blaze not with restriction, but with revelation. And every soul whose garments are white with forgiveness, whose name is sealed in the book, will enter. Not crawl, not sneak, not beg. Enter, like children running into the arms of a father who never stopped waiting. You think of heaven as golden streets, as choirs and thrones, and yes, it is all of that. But more than that, it is home. The home you've longed for in every embrace that didn't last. In every love that failed. In every sunrise that made you weep without knowing why. In every part of you that has screamed, there must be more than this. There is. He is. You do not have to understand the trumpets. You only need to be ready to hear them. And even now, the Spirit is calling, whispering through dreams, through pain, through beauty. Come, I see souls waking in every tribe and tongue. In the alley, in the boardroom, in the orphanage and the opera house. The poor who are rich in faith, the rich who fall to their knees like beggars. The broken who sing louder than choirs of angels. They are the bride, the one he is returning for. Dressed not in status, but in surrender, she is preparing herself, not with cosmetics, but with consecration, not with fear, but with fire. And when he comes, oh, when he comes, the earth will shake, the sky will split, and time, as you know it, will bow. Eden will descend, not as myth, but as marriage, heaven and earth reunited at last. And I, the one who stood at the gate, I will fall to my knees, not to guard, but to worship. There is a table being set, not with wood or silver, not beneath chandeliers or vaulted ceilings, but beneath a sky brighter than suns, in a kingdom older than time, where stars do not burn, they sing, and I have seen it. I have flown over wars and wastelands, stood at altars and deathbeds, watched history twist and tremble, but nothing compares to this. The Lamb who was slain has taken his place. The scars remain, yes, but they do not bleed, the signet rings of redemption. The wounds that once bled now shine with a light no shadow can touch. They blaze. He is not weary, he is not bruised. For those marks are not remnants of shame, but emblems of victory. And before him stands the bride, not in tatters, not trembling. She stands radiant, clothed not in silk, but in righteousness. Every act of hidden love, every yes in the dark, every broken hallelujah that rose from cancer beds, prisons, battlefields, and bedrooms where tears were the only prayer, all of it is stitched into her garment. And he sees her, not as the world mocked her, not as religion misused her, the one who called her by name beneath fig trees, the one who met her at wells and on dusty roads. The one who waited through every wandering and whispered, "You are still mine," not as sin tried to soil her. He sees her as he always dreamed her to be, pure, powerful, beloved. She gasps at the sight of him. She remembers, now, face to face, no more veils, no more mirrors dimly lit, no more aching prayers into the night, only eyes locked in everlasting covenant. And then the shout. It rises like a wave across the heavens. The wedding of the Lamb has come, and the feast begins. Oh, child of the dust, do not imagine a simple meal. Imagine every hunger of your soul finally fed, every thirst quenched by joy itself. This is not just a reunion, it is restoration. Here is Abel, his blood no longer crying, but laughing. Here is Ruth, dancing beside David. Here is the thief, no longer condemned, but crowned. Here are children once miscarried, now leaping. Here are martyrs, laughing with angels. Here is every tribe, every language, every shade of skin, not erased, but celebrated. There is no envy here, no fear, no pain, only presence. Not as it was, but as it was always meant to be. Only glory, only Him. I stand at the edge of this banquet, sword laid down at last. My watch is over. The gate I once guarded is now the gate I pass through. And I walk, no, I soar, into a garden reborn. The tree of life stands tall again. Its fruit feeds nations. Its leaves heal wounds that once seemed eternal. The river flows crystal clear from the throne, and all of heaven sings, not because they must, but because they are finally home. And yet, there is still one more cry. One more word to be spoken before the book is sealed, not from Him, from you. It comes not from the skies, but from the depths of your soul. It is the oldest echo, the buried memory you cannot name, the ache you've carried through every heartbreak, every sleepless night, every whispered question behind your smile. It is Eden calling you back, and now, as the gates swing wide, as the banquet blazes in glory, as time stands breathless, the King still waits. Yes, waits, not because he is unsure, but because love never forces, it invites. The Spirit and the bride say, "Come." Can you hear it? It's not thunder this time. It's not fire or plague or trembling mountains. It calls to the eternal part of you, the part that was there when you took your first breath and will be there when you take your last. It's a whisper, one that reaches beyond intellect, deeper than trauma, louder than shame. Let the one who is thirsty come. You are not too far gone. You are not too late. There is no addiction He cannot break, no wound He cannot redeem, no chain He cannot shatter with a glance. You do not need to understand theology. You do not need to fix yourself first. You need only respond. Say yes. Yes to the grace that found Peter in his failure. Yes to the love that called Zacchaeus out of his shame. Yes to the mercy that caught the woman midstone. Yes to the Savior who spread His arms wide not to condemn, but to cover. The same one who stood in the fire with Shadrach, who wrestled through the night with Jacob, who wept at Lazarus' tomb, who bore every lash, every thorn, every nail, now stands at the door of your heart, knocking, not as a judge, as a lover, a redeemer, a king who remembers the dust you remade of, because He once wrapped Himself in it, for you. And I, the angel once charged to guard the gates of paradise, say this to you now: the sword is gone, the curtain is torn, the grave is empty, the throne is occupied, and the invitation is still open. So come, come, you who are weary. Come, you who are numb. Come, you who feel nothing. Come, you who feel everything. Come not because you are ready, but because He already is. He has prepared the table. He has lit the flame. He has called you by name. Now rise, child of light, lift your face, and walk through the gate. Home is waiting. If this story stirred something in you, comment 777, and let it be a sign between your heart and heaven. You are seen, you are pursued, you are loved, and this is only the beginning.